I'll be honest with you all. This was meant to be a very negative video. I was going to talk about how we can potentially not see any more soccer for the remainder of 2020. But as I was finishing up the preparation for the show, I encountered a lot of positive news, something that we've lacked in these last couple of months. And it all started with the Bundesliga. As you all know, last week we talked about the Bundesliga's plan to returning back to action as soon as possible. That plan was, of course, it was kind of canceled because they were they were aiming to return on May 9th, and that obviously isn't the case. It's not going to happen. It was supposed to be this Saturday, and it's not it's not happening. But just because they couldn't come back the 9th didn't completely discourage them, and they began to replan, if that's even a word. And now the Bundesliga, hopefully by the time that you guys are listening to this on Wednesday night, Central Standard Time here in the United States, the Bundesliga has already officially announced their return date. And their return date is May 15th, which is a little less, 24 hours less than a week after their initial return date. So that's actually really good. Those are very, very good news. It's refreshing, super refreshing. So the Bundesliga, they're on their way back. They've handled it very, very well. And like I said last week, they are either going to be the superheroes or they're going to be the villains. They're not going to go out not knowing where they stand. They want to know that they tried. And that is very respectable. So good for the Bundesliga. And now we go over to Spain. And in La Liga, we've seen some of the players kind of not wanting to play. They don't feel safe. Completely understandable. They don't want to expose themselves. And more importantly, they don't want to expose the people that live with them. So what La Liga has been doing, their response to combat the fears, the worries that the players have, they're testing the players. They've been testing the players now, and they're going to come back to training this week. Again, by the time that you guys are listening to this, the players could already be back training individually. It's going to take a while because they've been stagnant for a month, almost 2 months. Yeah, 2 months, like the 11th or something like that. It's going to be 2 months since these teams have had any action. And that's a long time. So, of course, they have to come back to game shape. And that doesn't happen in 2 weeks. It's going to take a month, about. So, good for La Liga. They're taking the proper measures. And although, of course, I was watching TV on my break earlier today, and I saw that the players from A-Bar are actually not on board with this whole initiative to come back. And we don't have a specific date just yet for La Liga, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be sometime early June, maybe mid-June. So we still have about a month to go. And the players from A-Bar don't feel safe coming back to play, which again, totally understandable. They actually had a statement that they released, like a joint statement with all of the players. And I am going to look this up on Twitter. A-Bar Comunicado. Let me see. I really want to, because it's very important. It's super, super, super important to read this. So now that we're talking about La Liga, it is important to talk about both sides of the spectrum. We're talking about the directors, the executives that want to come back to play. They are on board. They want to do this. They've lost a lot of money, and now with this statement, you see that the players, some of them at least, don't want to come back. I'm going to read it in Spanish first, then I'll translate it. It says, tenemos miedo a iniciar una actividad en la que no podemos cumplir la primera recomendación de todos los expertos, el distanciamiento físico. That first part says, we are afraid to start an activity in which we cannot fulfill the social distancing recommended by the experts. That's pretty much the first part. Nos inquieta que por hacer lo que más nos gusta podamos contagiarnos, infectar a nuestros familiares. What worries us or what leaves us unsettled is that by doing what we love the most, we can infect and harm our families. That's just a part. I think that has to be the most important part of that statement, which it's very important. So when we talk about La Liga, yeah, sure, there's a plan, and the players are coming back, and they're gonna be individually training, and it looks all positive. But then you listen to this and you read this, and it's like, okay, there could be a little bit of pushback. Not everyone is going to be on board. So that is something to monitor, something to really, really look at. And again, by the time that you guys listen to this on Wednesday night, it could be completely different. And then of course you see some of the replies, and it's, I mean, and some people just literally just, they don't care. They don't care. They are very, very, how can I put this? They're very savage, like the kids say on Twitter. And now we go over to the Serie A. Of course, Italy, one of the countries that has been affected the most by this pandemic. It looks like they want to return to action as soon as possible. A lot of the players have been recalled back to their teams. Of course, Cristiano Ronaldo spent his quarantine, I believe it was in Portugal, if I'm not mistaken. But now he's returning home, just like every player from Juventus. And I think Inter might have their players come back soon, or if not, they already came back, or they're on their way back to their teams, which is a good sign. It's good because it means that there's a plan, and these players are going to come back to play as soon as possible. Of course, UEFA gave them a deadline. You have until the end of May to let us know what your plan is. And it looks like the plan is to finish off the season. And I keep burping. I'm sorry. I apologize. It's part of life. Deal with it. Looks like the Serie A really wants to come back to play. Ironically, because, again, Italy, one of the countries that was affected the most by this global pandemic. We know what happened. We know the numbers, whether you believe it or not. It's still pretty obvious that they were affected quite a lot. And of course, if you want to talk about socially and economically, Italy wasn't in a great position. So now you add this, and there's a lot of problems. But it looks like they still want to come back to play. They actually had a vote. They had all 20 teams vote whether they wanted to finish off the season by playing it out or completely cancel it and pretty much void it. I just hit my board. I am so sorry. I hit my mixing board. And they all voted in favor of finishing off. They want to play. So that's a good sign. Again, it could be because they've lost billions and billions of euros and they want to come back to make at least some of it. So, I mean, if they have a plan, there's no specific plan that we've known of. There's nothing that has been made official by anyone in the Serie A yet. But just some of the stuff that they've been doing, recalling the players, all the owners and the executives voting in favor of finishing off the season, just points to us thinking that this season will be played out. Likely, it'll resume around the same time as the Spanish League, early to mid-June, which seems reasonable, I guess. I mean, I'm not an expert in pandemics, so clearly I'm not an expert. So, I mean, they know what they're doing. It looks like they know what they are doing, or hopefully, it looks like they know what they are doing. Now, let's talk about the Premier League, a league that is very, very popular here in the United States. This league, actually, this is one of the leagues that has been super, super on the fence about either returning or canceling. We don't know what's going to happen. We have no idea what's going on with the Premier League. Some of the reports claim that we're going to have neutral venues, which means that there's going to be like 3-4 stadiums, and those are the only 3-4 stadiums that are going to be allowed to host any Premier League games for the remainder of this season, and likely for the remainder of 2020. So this is going to go on to the 2020-2021 season. That hasn't been made official yet, but some of the stadiums that have been named to be one of these neutral venues, the Emirates, the Etihad. Those are the two that I am completely sure about. And the reasoning behind picking those stadiums is that they are far away from areas with a lot of homes. So it's easier to keep the fans away. It's easier for the police to make sure that there aren't a lot of people there to keep the social distancing. That whole distancing that the players from A-Bar were talking about. So again, we don't have much of a plan from the Premier League just yet, but it looks like they're pointing towards the direction that the Serie A and the Bundesliga and La Liga are pointing towards. Of course, we know what happened with the French league. They canceled their season. PSG was named the champion. Kind of, I don't like that decision. I mean, really? Are you going to give them a free title? Whatever. But again, my thoughts on all of this stuff. Listen, if it's safe to do so, just let's get on with the games. We need it. The people need it. Everyone needs some sort of entertainment. We can only watch the replays so many times without knowing, well, this is going to happen. This is boring. Can we have something, live happen? If it's safe, if it's possible, if it's doable, if everyone is contributing, then do it. Go forward. Let's get back to a normal life with soccer. And again, selfishly, I say this because I'm a soccer fan and I have nothing to do on Saturday mornings. I've been picking up extra hours. That's how bored I am. If you know me, you know that that's not very like me. you know that I don't. If I don't have to work any extra hours, I won't. On certain stuff. But yeah, if it's safe, if we know for a fact that there's testing, proper testing, and if anyone gets infected, they are completely quarantined for the next 14 days, then do it. Please do it. Please, please, please do it. Because we need it. We desperately need soccer to come back. We desperately need sports to come back. All right? And when I tell you that we desperately need something, I am telling you as a person, a resident from Illinois, where nothing has been happening for the last 2 months. Nothing. Nothing has happened. Movie theaters closed, stores closed, malls closed, everything is closed. The only place that you can go to is a damn grocery store. Cool. I buy groceries once a week, maybe once every other week, depending on the week, depending on the days, depending on how hungry I am. But you can only go to the grocery store so many times, right? So, I mean, we really need something to give us a little bit of hope, but to put a smile on our faces. We're bored. We need something cool to happen, And maybe if I was these executives from the big leagues, I would look over at the UFC and see what they're doing. And I would pay extra close attention to UFC 249, because if everything works out fine in UFC 249, I would call Dana White and I'd be like, sir, first of all, congratulations on pulling off the impossible. You had freaking Mickey Mouse telling you not to do this, and you still did it. Congratulations. Now, let us know what you did to keep everyone safe and to make sure that everyone can go home happy and safely without having any further repercussions of this damn virus just spreading to everyone. Let us know the formula. We need to know the formula because we need to get on with our business. The show must go on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it from me. My name is Alex Pérez. Thank you all for joining me, VMFC, hopefully very soon, to talk about games that are actually going on and not just speculations, and not just top tens or talking about the best of all time in this or that. We want live sports, and I am pretty sure we will get them very, very soon. But as for now, take care of yourself, take care of your family, wash your hands, wash your face, stay safe, stay hydrated, take care. Goodbye. If you enjoyed this video, remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more sports content. If you want to support the brand, you can go ahead and donate $1 to our Patreon, patreon.com/veteransminimum. That will get you exclusive content and merch.